Hi, Chris Moore, financial advisor. Don't adjust your screen. It's dark. Why is it dark? Because I'm in a back room. Why am I in a back room? Because there's a back door. And we're going to talk about backdoor Roth IRAs. So stay tuned. Do we need to be in the dark? Let's think about this. No, they're not illegal. It's just a strategy. Hey, magic man, turn on the lights. The lights are on. Yay, we can begin. So we're going to talk about Roth IRAs of the backdoor variety. We're going to talk about who should consider them. We're going to go, how do you do it? And then we're going to talk about things you should consider before doing a backdoor Roth IRA. So, who should consider doing a Roth IRA? And really the first criterion of who is that your income is above the contribution limits. Usually in the publication, IRS publication, there are income limits and your income is above those limits and you would still like to put some money in a Roth IRA. That's called a backdoor Roth IRA. That's what we're going to talk to. So that's really the first thing, is that you're above the normal Roth income limits. So the second point is that when you look at all your financial accounts, you don't have much money in IRAs. That's the second criterion. So income high, not much money in IRAs. That makes you a good candidate to do a Roth IRA. So how do you do it? If you can't contribute to it, if the IRS publication says, hey, you can't put money in a Roth IRA, what do? Well, you're allowed, everybody can put money in an IRA, traditional IRA. Why might you not want to do that? Well, if you're over certain income limits or you have a plan at work, the contribution is not tax deductible. And so here's the thing. When you're doing a backdoor Roth, you contribute to a traditional IRA. That amount goes in. You do not get a tax break for that amount. That is what's called, it creates a cost basis in your IRA. Okay? You have a cost basis in your IRA. With that, the next step is then you're allowed, anybody can take IRA money and convert it to a Roth IRA. You just have to pay tax on that money. So if you're doing a backdoor, and let's say that you have no other IRA accounts, you put your money in your Roth IRA, you put your money in your traditional IRA. So let's say you put $6,000 in your traditional IRA, and then you go and you convert it into a Roth IRA. What happens on your tax return is this. It goes, hey, you converted a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. That amount is taxable, but you get to reduce it by your cost basis. So literally, if you got, here's the magic, if you put in $6,000 with a $6,000 cost base and you convert it, then you have money in a Roth IRA and you pay zero tax on the conversion because you had a $6,000 cost basis. And that is how it's done. Okay, let's wrap up. What we're going to do is things that you should consider before you do a Roth IRA. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to talk to your tax advisor before you do one, and probably a financial advisor, and make sure it's advisable. Because there's some things, when we said the cost basis comes off your IRA, what some people do is, oh, I've got an IRA over here at this one company, and let's say it's fairly large. I go open up a smaller one that then it's going to create a cost basis, then I'm going to convert it and then I'm going to save. I'm not going to have to pay any money to get it. The one thing about cost basis, when you have cost basis in IRA, it goes proportionately across all your IRAs. That's why you should talk to your tax advisor. The next thing is you want to consider is, hey, I think this is a great idea. You go and do it, and then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I want to undo it. Sorry. Once you do it, they're not allowing you to reconvert it back to an IRA. That rule went out several years ago, so you can't do that. The next thing is, if you have to take withdrawals from that Roth IRA, the money that you convert, it goes back to the source. And if the source was an IRA, then that withdrawal, those funds are limited. It would be like you just took it out of a traditional IRA. So if you're trying to do it to avoid a penalty, that's not a strategy. They've got that covered up. So those are the things you consider. Thanks for watching. I hope it was informational. So as always, before you do any financial transaction that involves tax strategies, I would recommend you talk to your tax professional. Make sure that they think it's a good idea. And usually you would talk to your financial advisor and make sure they think it's a good idea. And then you should be all set to do one.